Welcome to the Harnessing Your Divine Feminine show, hosted by Andrea Bagby. We believe that when you give a woman an opportunity, you give her the world. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos.
Hi, welcome, and thank you for watching or listening to Harnessing Your Divine Feminine. So, this is the show where we honor women in entrepreneurship, elegance, and empowerment. And I would like to introduce you to my good friend, Sunshine Ballew.
Hi, how's it going? Hello. Hey, everybody out there.
She was brought into my life by another group of friends that Spirit put into my life. And they said, oh, you have to meet Sunshine. She's so cool. You're going to really like her. And they told me this for like a year. You have to meet Sunshine. And I was like, okay. And then finally it worked out and you were able to come to the retreat.
Yes.
And it was so fun. And as soon as I told people Sunshine signed up for the retreat, everybody was like, oh, good. Like it was like a little party.
I didn't know y'all were so excited to meet me.
We were very excited. And then when you showed up, I was like, oh, you're Sunshine.
Finally put a name with a face, I guess.
Yes. And then you drove out into the middle of nowhere to meet this crazy group of women.
Yeah, and stayed overnight with them for a few nights.
I know, and it was just like a whole slumber party.
Yeah, it was very cool.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
And so basically, tell us about your journey and how you got here to this place of business spirituality and running two businesses and all the things, being a mom and a wife.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I think that where I want to start is just where my natural journey has led me, because I feel like that's what's led me here. And so my name is Sunshine Ballew, and I always have to say, yes, my parents were hippies. I always get that question. Yes, it's my real name, blah, 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 blah. But beyond that, like I grew up, my mom actually worked for Villa Medical Clinic, but when I was young, she took me to the chiropractor. And I was very fortunate that, especially as I got older, I was like, Mom, why can't I just take medicine like everybody else? And she was like, I don't want you taking that stuff. It's not good for you. And so she would take me to the chiropractor. Lo and behold, I would be out of adjustment and I would get an adjustment. Of course, a few days later, I would usually feel better unless it was something a little bit more serious. And so I kind of grew up with that kind of care. And then when I was around 20, I actually started working for that same chiropractic office. And that's really when my life kind of took a turn for, getting into natural health. When people came in, they'd be like, they were having asthma issues or, they were having vision issues. I was like, we help with that? I was like, what? Chiropractic helps with that? So I learned a lot about, just healing the body. And it was my first introduction to like natural herbs and, taking vitamins and also just kind of being mindful about what I was obviously trying to eat organic. That was really kind of my first steps, and trying to do gluten-free at that time, which was way more difficult than it is now. But so in that journey, I found that I recognized that I was like, okay, well, if I'm so worried about, what I'm eating, well, what am I washing my dishes with that I'm putting this organic food on, right? What am I washing my body with? What am I walking around on my, my bare feet on the floors? What am I cleaning with? So then that even propelled a journey for me to, just really consider what I'm using on my body. And so I started using like natural deodorant. I had a chiropractor, one of the chiropractors that I worked there, he said that, for every hour that you wear, a wire bra, it increases your risk of breast cancer.
Right. That's terrible.
On top of, the antiperspirants and aluminum and things like that. So, so again, that kind of propelled my journey. And then let's see. And then I went to these NutraWest seminars. If you've ever heard of NutraWest as the company, that was really interesting. So I became the x-ray technician there. I was the new patient consultant. I really was kind of like the doctor's right-hand person. And so he sent me, and my mom, because we worked together, sent me to these seminars. And I felt like everybody was going to be burned at the stake. I really did. I was like, this is, whoo, it like blew my mind. So we walked in and they were doing muscle testing and laser therapy and tuning forks and A lot of things that I had never been exposed to.
So you were like, this is witch doctor.
Oh, it was totally quackery, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was funny because, they were showing us how to muscle test.
Right.
And for those of you that, don't know anything about that, I mean, basically it's, you hold a supplement up to your body. And if the supplement is good for you, all of your muscles will test strong.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not good for you, your muscles will have a weakness to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of differentiating between if the synergy of that, vitamin, herb, or combination of that is, resonates with you on an energetic level, or if it's not good for you and you don't need to basically take that supplement. They even taught us, and like I said, I went with my mom, and they told my mom that she needed to be on this product called lipotropic, of course, because she had high cholesterol. And they told her that she needed to take 9 capsules a day. And I'm always a skeptic. Like, that's my first line of defense is like, I'm not sure about this. Like, I question it, right? And so then we got home and I tested the way they showed me. And sure enough, like, I tested her muscles. And when you ask the body a question, what they taught us is the body will give you a response. And so asking her the question, how many did she need to take? 9, her arm was strong. On the 10th one, her arm would go weak if I asked if she needed to take 9 or 10. So she took that particular capsule, 9 capsules a day for 30 days. She lowered her cholesterol 20 points just in that month. And then I tested her again after that month, and it actually showed that she didn't need to take as much. So her body had improved. And so asking her body again, she needed to take like 4 a day rather than 6 a day, so that's kind of what has led me even to this point. Gosh, I've had so many like different journeys that have all like collaborated into one. So, again, doing that, I also was introduced to laser and, which is low level laser or cold laser. So do you know anything about that?
I've had a little bit of red laser.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously different variations of laser. There's hot laser, right? So LASIK surgery, a lot of people have heard of that. Those lasers are powerful enough to penetrate and destroy tissue. Okay. So the cold laser is not powerful enough to destroy the tissue, but what it does is it excites the mitochondria in your cells and gives the cells fuel to basically do what they need to do. So it's stimulating on a cellular level. So that was also my first introduction to doing laser therapy. And so when I went back to my chiropractic office, in addition to doing the x-rays and all of that, I also did laser therapy and muscle testing in their office. So I worked there for about 8 years and, doing that and having that introduction. And then I got pregnant. So I decided that I wanted to have a natural birth. And well, I will tell you that my chiropractor, I told him, I was like, well, I don't want this, and I don't want this, and I don't want ultrasounds, and I don't want them to do this. And he was like, you just need to have a home birth. That's what his comment was. And I was like, so I had to take that in, and I was like, you know what? He's right. So I decided that I would go with the Bradley method, which is supposed to be husband coach childbirth, but obviously it's kind of one of the most well-known natural childbirth methods. So we took classes actually here in Marietta, and obviously I was able to, I was very fortunate enough to have a natural birth.
Oh, that's cool.
At home.
Yay.
And funny enough, my first child was born on April 20th. A lot of people joke about that too, right? 420. But I was, like I said, fortunate enough to have my daughter at home. Did not do any ultrasounds, did not even listen with the dop tone until the birth.
Okay.
So no, because ultrasound, a lot of people don't know this, but it's never been proven safe.
Okay.
And there are some, videos that you can find deep down on YouTube if you're really looking that can show you how the cells respond before and after. And specifically for females, and especially since this is a female show, I'd like to bring this up, that when you are shining the ultrasound or the dop tone on that baby when they're in the womb, you're actually exposing all of her lifetime eggs to ultrasound as well.
Oh, wow.
So it can actually be seen generation after generation.
Wow.
So that, again, I was very unusual, I think, for, because most people get ultrasounds, but I just kind of trusted in the process. So fast forward a little bit, she was about 6 months old. I decided I would do the Bradley method. And so I became a natural childbirth educator. And I've had over 20 couples give natural birth, which
That's really cool.
The majority of them were in the hospital. You know, there were probably just a few that, you know, actually had a home birth. But most, you know, I'm supportive of wherever the woman feels comfortable, right? If she feels more comfortable in a hospital setting, by all means, she needs to just go wherever she feels the most comfortable, to where, you know, she feels the safety net of her preference. So it's hard no matter which way you do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So I still continued after I got to stay home. So I was fortunate for that, that my husband, you know, took the full reins of bringing in income, and I got to stay home with her for a little bit. And then when she went back to school, I started working for another chiropractor. So I've had chiropractic in my life, you know, for a really long time, and just natural health. And then I got pregnant again and decided I would have another baby. Funny enough, April 20th, 3 years later.
That's amazing. That's hilarious.
So yeah, again, that's
a fun day in your family.
Unique. It kind of took a different meaning from when in my teens, right?
Right.
versus now.
Right.
And so then I had my son, and of course I breastfed, and again, no ultrasounds, you know, none of that, and was able to have him at home. Wow. And then a couple years goes by, and then I got a job at the Bremen Health Clinic, which is was in Bremen, Georgia. And I thought I knew a lot about natural health until I worked there.
Right.
And when I worked there, it was like an explosion of knowledge that I was exposed to. So that's where I was introduced to biofeedback, energetic testing, and never had seen that before. And that was something that the naturopath that owned that company at the time, you know, he saw a lot of cancer patients, as a matter of fact. And so taught me a lot about how emotions are connected to and triggers for cancer. They did IV therapy. I learned a lot about homeopathy and how that's integrated into protocols, you know, worked with people that had autoimmune stuff. Probably the most famous person that came in was Olivia Newton-John. So that was, you know, probably one of the, you know, she was close friends with the owner. So I worked there for a good while and became a technician, and, you know, I guess a natural practitioner. I call myself a wellness advocate. So I don't know if I've shared with it. I am in real estate, and a lot of people don't know this other side of me. A lot of people that have met me probably over the last 8 years just know I do real estate, and they don't know like this whole other side of my background.
So we're your
history.
hippie friends. Like, I didn't know you did real estate for a long time. I was like, oh, she does real estate. I just thought you were a hippie with us. I was like,
I'm both, right?
Okay, that's good to be both.
I can do both.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a whole element for me of learning, you know, the vitamins and supplements and minerals, and how all of the things combine. And, you know, I definitely don't knock medical and Western medicine by any means. I think that it can complement it, and I think that there's a need for both, right? If you need surgery or if you need a medication, you know, by all means, I think it's wonderful that it's there. But if you can support the body through natural methods, I think that is a great avenue to also help support the body. So my experience has been that sometimes when you give the body one thing, it can sometimes help, but sometimes when you're doing the right combination, that's really when you get the best, most overall effectiveness for the body to support itself and heal itself.
Exactly. Yes, balance. I always say balance, because we definitely can overuse both sides of things, anything.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's
either way, yeah.
Yeah, I probably need to go to the doctor a little bit more. I tend
found
not to, but
because I understand holistic medicine, it helps me ask the right questions at the doctors.
Yes.
You know, like, instead of just taking one side or the other for what it, I
feel like it's definitely become more educated. I can, kind of come up with better questions for, when you're going into, a visit with a medical doctor. But I always look and try to see if there's some way that I can heal my body naturally. And I'm really passionate about helping others do that as well.
For sure. You always want to stay away from out of the doctor's office. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to really take medication. It's not really curing anything.
No, it never does.
It was interesting too, before this podcast, I was actually, of course, learning, and my algorithm knows me very well about, I'm all into like foods and what's in our food and how it was processed and the history of that, and also medications. And I've come to find out that Rockefeller, of course, it goes back to him, right? And his petroleum-based, empire that he grew. But it was interesting that around like 1913, or I think a little bit before that, maybe like 1910, he was actually the one who wanted to figure out how he could put petroleum products in medications. And so what he did is he created all these grants for these medical schools, but required them to teach his curriculum. So it was at that point that natural medicine went to alternative medicine. And basically because they can't patent and make money off of things in nature, but they can take an element of that particular plant and make a synthetic out of it. And that's when they can make a patent out of it. And so then he founded and when they found actually that these medications were causing cancer, then he created the American Cancer Society. So it's a whole rabbit hole if you decide to go down that road, which that was just something I learned this week. And I was like,
that's a whole rabbit hole in itself. Yeah, I get it. I've been down all the rabbit holes.
Yeah.
I've been down all the rabbit holes there.
Well, it's just interesting to like learn about the history, because it's like, why is it like this? Oh, there's the reason. So, and it's
follow the money.
Yeah. Interestingly enough too, and a lot of people don't know this, but a home birth is actually illegal in Georgia.
Yeah. No,
right?
I thought you were like, most women say they want one, but very few have one.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and which was interesting because in South Carolina, it's legal. Okay. In Florida, it's legal. And Tennessee, it's legal. All right. But I think it's North Carolina, not legal. Georgia, not legal. Alabama, not legal. So you've got like surrounding states that they don't want to recognize the midwife's licensing is basically what it is. So, I guess you probably could get in trouble, but it'd be hard for them to prove if you just actually did a home birth. So we just had to be really secretive of our midwife and like not let people really know exactly who she was.
Well, now there's doulas that are legal, right?
No, so a doula is emotional support. They're not actually a midwife. So a midwife is the one that actually has got the knowledge and
almost
expertise.
A doctor. Like I've known midwife, and they're like almost a doctor. I felt
so they're the ones that can monitor monitors the baby's heartbeat, understand some of the birth complications. A doula is not necessarily going to help you with that. Right. Doula is really more of helping you with the emotional aspect, and obviously some of the physical things, maybe like a back rub. Or so my second birth actually had 2 doulas at my birth that were students, because I felt like I can do this. I'm a teacher. I can handle it. Yeah, it was still hard.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but then your midwife can bring Pitocin if it's needed. And that's a whole another show about stuff like that. But yeah, she was able to bring Pitocin, and I needed some after the baby was born. And so they can administer stuff like that. So and so now I'm doing a new business. New business. So I started in November. I actually invested in it a year before and tested it with a couple of chiropractors. And now I'm doing a full body red light therapy.
Very cool.
And, again, I've exposed to laser therapy and saw the benefits of that, and just saw some amazing results with, the clients that we saw. And so I decided to invest in this red light therapy. So if you're not familiar with red light, like everybody's like, ooh, do? What does it do? You're right. It kind of does the same thing. It excites the mitochondria. So it gives the cell fuel to heal, to regenerate. And my particular bed, because there's a lot of different beds out there, so you want to be mindful of that if you're going to consider red light therapy for yourself, is that there's some that are bulbs, and then I have actually an LED bed. So, and then I can set different frequencies. So I was just reading a little bit last night about, all the different frequencies, like your brain has a frequency, your heart has a frequency, right? That they can measure. And so they actually know different frequencies for the brain, for the heart, for the pancreas. And so you can stimulate the body in that sense as well. So if you're setting like a laser or the red light therapy to a particular frequency, you can it can be more targeted for that area. So, and then I offer whole body vibration, which is basically like a lymphatic support. So it helps stimulate your lymphatic system to help you drain toxins, and it's good for like osteoporosis. It actually burns calories. So I use that in combination together.
So where are you located?
I'm located in Carrollton, Georgia.
Okay. You have a store. Storefront.
So I'm actually part of a wellness clinic. So I have a room inside a wellness business, and inside that wellness clinic, we have, massage therapy. We've got people that do permanent makeup and of course eyelashes, but then they have a sensory deprivation tank, which is a float tank, which is really cool. They have a hyperbaric chamber, and then they have a full spectrum infrared sauna. So I have my full light infrared red light therapy bed within that wellness center.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So do you do any consults on Zoom for people who can't get to Carrollton?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. So the other part of my business is my energetic analysis through Quest.
Okay.
So I know you got to see that a little bit.
You brought it to the retreat.
Yeah, I brought it to the retreat.
I wanted to sit down on it.
Yeah, everybody, as soon as I brought that out, like all the ladies were lined up.
I told you, I said, look, you can get it out, but like everybody's going to want it.
So it's really interesting because again, it's and the technology is it's based on kind of like a lie detector test.
Right.
All right. So if I asked you if you did it, right, and you said, and you would not, if you did it, especially, your body would respond without you saying a word.
Right.
So your brain waves would process that information. Your heart might start, your pulse might increase or decrease depending on what's going on and how your body responds. Again, kind of talking about that earlier is you ask the body a question, the body gives you a response. So through this machine, it's not asking you if you did it, it's actually sending out different frequencies and seeing kind of really what bounces back. So it looks at all kinds of toxins. Of course, it's not meant to diagnose or treat by any means, but it helps to try to figure out what's out of balance on an energetic level. And everything is energy. So everything has a certain frequency. Your brain has a frequency. Your eyes have a frequency. Parasites have a frequency, viruses, bacteria, they all operate on a certain frequency. So that's what this machine is designed to do. I'll tell you something really interesting too. Is that recently actually just tested my mom, and it came up radon gas. If you don't know what radon gas is, it is actually the second leading cause of lung cancer. I don't know if it's in America or on Earth, but I know it's the second leading cause of cancer. And she came up positive, that's what came up on her analysis, which I'd not seen that on anybody else. I've done lots of these. And so we just had a test done because I'm a real estate agent too. So that was something that I have to look out for. And she had this test done. Well, it came back positive that she had radon gas in her house. And I was like, okay, well, it was nice to get something confirming, right? Okay, yes, we've got something on an energetic level, but can we confirm it through some sort of analysis in a different way? And yes, like it came up a positive reading. So, wow. And, just interestingly enough, the neighborhood that she lives in is very prone to having radon gas. gas because it has a lot of protruding rock. So for listeners out there, if you have a lot of protruding rock on the outside of your house, any house can actually have radon gas because they used to think it was just in a basement. She's on a ranch with a crawl space. So, but she does have a lot of protruding rock outside. So that was also an indicator that, yeah, she might have some radon gas going on. So hopefully, it's not, we caught it at an early stage to where it doesn't cause her any kind of respiratory issues and obviously lung cancer later on.
Okay.
So
you can do that online?
I can do that remotely. Okay. So what I can actually do is for anybody that's listening is they can contact me and I can put them on the schedule and basically either send out a kit or they can send in their hair and saliva samples. Okay. And they can send in their hair and saliva samples from anywhere in the US. I can put it on this machine and then basically do the analysis to determine where they're out of balance energetically. And then what I also do with the analysis is determine what supplements might be beneficial for them on an energetic level. So it matches you with different supplements, different modalities, whatever that person seems to kind of really need at that point.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's neat. That's amazing. You can do that and you can just send it in and then it can really save lives.
Yeah, I've had a lot of experience and it's kind of been, I always still like, I'm almost skeptical, like, really? Does that work? Like, I still even question it myself, but then it's like, well, this is what the machine says. And hopefully it just helps someone on their journey. I really try to take a very simple approach. So I don't like to give people a lot of supplements. I obviously have learned the basics like, okay, vitamin D, probiotics, fish oils. We usually try to start with some of the basics, but at the same time, if you know what's going on with the body or the root cause, you're able to help support the body in the way it needs.
Right. So. Good. So also real estate, I have a lot of clients that are real estate agents.
Okay.
And I always find it fascinating that a lot of them are healers as well.
That's interesting.
They never tell one group. They have like two sets of friends. It's like two sets of friends. Y'all are my hippie friends, but then also I've got these business friends. But and I have to go between and explain that's really a healing modality is helping people find homes. And you're really bringing it to a whole nother level.
I've definitely had. I really try to attract those clients that I resonate with as well as far as real estate goes. A couple of years ago, I had a client that they were like, "So do you know about the Tesla's 369?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "But I'm willing to go down that rabbit hole." Of learning about the perfect numbers and because they wanted a house that was had a house number of 369 or a combination of those
or just numerology or
and I was like you know what, most agents might think you're crazy. I was like, but I will totally go down this road with you and be happy to help support that vision.
Numerology in housing is like crazy accurate. Like if you're like a 5, if you live in a 5 house, that house means that you're always going to have lots of activity.
Okay.
And when I learned that, and then I rented a 5 house for a while and there was always activity. It wasn't, it was active.
Okay. I've got a 5 in mine. So,
it's got to break down. It's got to break down to a 5.
Okay.
And those houses are often for rent or for sale.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So start Googling and rabbit hole the numerology houses and you'll be able to match the people with houses so much easier. It'll be scary.
I'm usually not thinking about the number. We're thinking about bedrooms and bathrooms and floor plans.
Just go for that number first. Because if it's somebody that's single and wants a house, just a house by themselves, they want a one house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So go for the numbers and you'll save so much time.
I definitely have used stones in my, I've had a house that had some, I guess, not so good juju. And so I would put, rose quartz by the door.
Of course.
And, different stones throughout the house to help mitigate some of that energy that was there. And
more real estate agents do that than they talk about it and they know. Y'all are all back there doing some witchy stuff. But in secret. It's weird.
Well, it's not something that you really, just put out there all the time. time.
I know,
but
save the house.
I have done a video with a friend of mine over there that, talking about smudging the house, and learned all about that. And so, and of course it was in October. So I was like, okay, let's put it out.
Yeah,
so
save the house, grid the house, do all the things. So I think it's totally not as separate as people think.
No, absolutely. I mean, you bless a house,
Right,
it's just bless it with whatever.
And it's a big deal to help put somebody in a house. It's a big deal. I think it happens so much in our society. We take it for granted.
Yeah, I can.
Like buying or selling of houses.
Well, but it's your home. That's your sanctuary. So
Absolutely.
That's where, when you come out from this busy world, like you can go to a place that, if that's what you want, is something peaceful and, tranquil. That's what we all need. Yeah. Right?
That's what we all need. And then that totally builds into less stress and less wellness. It's totally part of wellness.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really it. So I think it's awesome that you are setting the example for someone, and your kids go to chiropractors.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yeah. Of course. Yeah. I mean, my kids have never, my daughter's taken one antibiotic in her life.
I'm sure.
And she's 15.
I was going to say your kids are probably crazy healthy.
Yeah. They think I'm weird.
No allergies.
They roll their eyes, at me. My son has a little bit of like more dust allergies, but no like food allergies or sensitivities. We decided not to do vaccines based on a lot of research. And, I think there's a risk either way that you decide to go, but that was for my family and my exposure from the chiropractors. And we just, you try to just eat healthy food and, take your vitamins and get some sunlight and,
food is medicine.
Less screen time,
for sure.
All the things. Like you can't do one thing and not do the other things. If you're going to, if you're not going to do vaccines, then you definitely want to make sure your body is supported in other ways to make sure you're operating as healthy as you can.
Oh, for sure. And the screens alone, even for adults, we do too much screen time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's insane. I get mad at myself. I'm like, why am I still on this screen? Like,
I know. Why am I scrolling? Get off of here.
This couldn't be good for me.
Oh, yeah. So I'm definitely just trying to incorporate, like I said, the passion that I have for real estate. And even throughout the time that I've been in real estate, I've still done that energetic analysis for a lot of clients. So still continue to do that throughout, maybe in like my slow times or times where I could kind of pick and choose. So I'm just happy that I can incorporate both. And I will probably be looking for an assistant, as real estate starts to pick up, and I'll get someone to, just kind of help assist with some of the business aspects.
Oh, yeah, you can totally do that. No, I think that you're offering, like you go to other places, right? And you demonstrate things, like you came and you just popped up your little thing at the retreat. She's popped a table up and started testing people.
Oh, yeah.
And you could go places and test people, like businesses or like other groups, churches, wherever.
Well, I've definitely thought about incorporating, introducing the hair and saliva sample kits. So that way, other doctors or chiropractors or, someone that wants to really know what's going on with their client. You can even do pets as well. It's kind of crazy. I've actually done a couple pets, like a couple of cats and a dog, and, for people because they couldn't figure out what was going on. So, there's even that avenue of helping people. So I think that's been my whole journey is, especially as becoming an adult, is helping people. So I'm a CASA volunteer. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but it's a court-appointed special advocate for children in foster care. I have been a CASA advocate for 12 years.
Very cool.
And I try to keep up with it. I think I've had 13 children that I've advocated for in the court system while they're in foster care. I have one right now. And then I was on the board of Keep Carroll Beautiful for several years. I just stepped off of that board, but I'm, super concerned about the environment, obviously about kids and, and children. And just want people to, live their best lives, and just contributing any way that I can to help do that.
Right. And I think you're backing up it's a good bridge to spirituality, because when people ask me, I can just be like, yeah, no, I'm not, I'm getting a no on that. And now I'm gonna be like, I'm getting a no, but you should talk to Sunshine as to why. She'll pinpoint it for you. I'm getting a no. or yes,
Right.
So you kind of can bridge that and give people more information as to why they're getting that gut instinct on things.
Well, you definitely have to follow your gut instinct.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and I think being in tune with your body, and that's just a journey, and I'm still on that journey of learning and growing. And I've got a conference coming up at the end of March that there'll be a lot of practitioners that use this machine and are doing this, so we can all just basically collaborate. It'll be like several days of classes. So I'm just excited to, learn more and share more, because I felt like if I'm going to do this, at least, my family and my friends and my clients and people that I'll, work with and know, and my coworkers and just anybody that I can come in contact with, maybe I can help them in some way. So
okay. I know I'm going to get a lot of people asking me about, you're an educator for home birth.
Yes.
Okay. So go back to that. How do they reach you for that?
So that one, haven't been teaching full time, because the Bradley method is like 12 weeks of classes. And I think for most people, they have a tendency to not want to attend 12 weeks of classes. I think that's kind of why I stepped away from it, was because I didn't see that people really wanted to be committed to that at that point. Now, I had a second child too, so that was a part of it.
Okay.
So do I teach that on a regular basis? No, but I'm happy to share information. I can basically give people some guidance, especially with their birth plans. And I will probably teach a few classes at some point, but I don't have that one going right now. I've been focused on the red light and doing the energetic testing.
I would think home birth, if I was going to have home birth, I think the 12 weeks is important.
Well, it is. It's definitely, it's definitely important. I think it's just hard for a lot of people to have that kind of commitment, because that's 3 months of a class every single week. So that's kind of the hang up for most people. And so I've done a few videos out there, probably some of my first videos, where I'm talking about how you're, supposed to be sitting up straight. You're not supposed to recline, and some of the dynamics. But yeah, you need 12 weeks. And I feel like sometimes I can't even still get all the information in during that time period.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I have condensed my classes down at one point, just because I felt like, people just couldn't commit. But you know how, like, if you're training for a marathon, right? It'd take you 3 months. Well, well, birth is like a triathlon.
I'm sure.
You're in the bed, you're up walking, you're moving around, you're back in the bed, you've got to condition and train those muscles in order to prepare for birth, specifically like if you want to use certain positions like squatting, which is supposed to open up, I think, the birth canal by 10%.
Right.
So, but if you haven't squatted for 3 months leading up to the birth and you try to squat during the birth, you're probably not going to be able to make it and have the stamina to be able to do that. So that's why Bradley really promotes those, 12 weeks of classes.
Absolutely.
So at some point I may decide to introduce those back. But at this point, I've just been sharing information and people, that have been interested and want to reach out.
Bringing back the home birth. That's awesome. That's good. Yeah.
I don't know if I can promote that since it's illegal, right?
I mean,
yeah, I'm not a midwife. I'm just a teacher.
You know what? It's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's all about natural birth. It's not necessarily about home birth. So just trying to, reduce the interventions, to where that child has the best opportunity to have the best start in life. That's really what it's
right. And when
on.
you take these approaches that you're speaking about with raising your kids, or just for yourself or with your family, you don't have to turn your life over completely and live like a hippie.
No.
I think people do think that. Like, if I go down this road, I can't be like normal in the world. Like, how are my kids going to go to school or relate to anyone? You still, like, if I were to pass by you, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, she's so weird. Like,
I embrace that. It's okay.
You can actually like still function fine.
Oh yeah. No problem. It's interesting because my daughter, she had taken, I guess, some sort of class at school, and everybody was sharing where they were born, and of course she's like, I was born at home, and the teacher was so fascinated with her story, because it was different. It wasn't like everybody else's.
Well, it wasn't an accidental home birth. Most people at home, it's been an accidental home birth.
Right.
Home birth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good that you're very, very intentional, and you're very, very intentional with your clients.
Yes. Yeah. I'm definitely wholehearted. When people come and, either do an analysis with me in person, a lot of times I will do the analysis, but I won't necessarily like give them the results right then. I actually take it back. I take it home. I really review it. I see what comes up. So that way I can take all that information and really make the best, recommendations that I can. So it's not really on the spot. I mean, I can share a few things, but, when it comes down to my recommendations, I kind of go into a whole different space to make sure that, I'm making proper recommendations for them based on their health history and what they're already taking and, any medications that they're on. I have to take all of that into account, and then really what the analysis shows so I can give a proper a proper analysis.
So they should tell you and be honest with you with what medicines they're taking.
Yes. I have found that people always don't want to fill those out.
They don't. And here's why. I tell you why. It's because they feel like it's two different worlds, and they're like ashamed that they went to the doctor.
Yeah.
Like when they go see a holistic doctor, they're ashamed that they went to the regular doctor, but then they go to the regular doctor, they're ashamed they went to the holistic doctor. So it's like those two worlds again. And people just aren't merging them. And that's where it comes to be like kind of dangerous.
Yeah. You definitely have to be careful. Just, like for an example, people that are taking high blood pressure, shouldn't take anything with licorice root, right? That's just one of the side effects, or one thing that's a contraindication. And so it's definitely important to be able to, see what they're taking, and also what supplements they're already on. You'd be, sometimes when people are taking a whole slew of supplements, they don't want to, put down every little thing that they're taking as well.
Right. They don't want to. Yeah. Well, it's just effort. And I think people think, well, that doesn't matter or whatever.
Right.
And no, because you need the whole picture, and nobody has to be ashamed with you.
Oh, no.
Like, I took an antibiotic. Like, they have to be ashamed.
Yeah, no, very much an open book. And, it's so funny because my mom was like, when I was younger and of course teenager, she's like, so how are your bowels moving? And I'd be like a teenager being like, oh my God, I don't want to talk about that, Mom. And then now as a wellness facilitator, like I have to ask everybody about that.
And you're like, did you poop today?
I know.
Yeah,
I'm like, I did not know that I was going to have to do this, but okay. Yeah.
They underplayed how important that role was as adults. Because I don't even have kids, and I ask people all the time, well, I have people call me too for in psychic readings, and they're like, yeah, I'm constipated. Like, oh my gosh. They totally underplayed that role in our lives,
you have to make everything normalized. I mean, obviously everybody goes through the same things. My husband always talks about how a celebrity, I mean, they still have to put, one leg in their pants and the other, one sock on first, before
we've had
their
whole
shoes.
Shows where we've talked about poop. No, it's fine.
I mean, and that's a part of it, because if you're not excreting your toxins, then basically your toxins are building up.
Right.
And then, of course, you get into the emotional part of that, right? So, constipation or anything with the colon is bottled up hate.
Yeah.
So, kidneys hold fear. And again, working at that Bremen Health Clinic that I worked at, it helped me to recognize, different emotional components and how that really translates with your body.
Oh, completely. Yeah. It's scary.
Yeah. What's interesting is, of course, there was another doctor. I'm not sure if he was there at that practice, but he had all these papers. I really wish I would have just made copies for myself. But he had actually studied cancer patients, and specifically for breast cancer, women that lost a nest member, a lot of times that was a trigger. So a nest member would be a parent, a child, a spouse. And so it's
heart chakra.
Right?
Yeah, broken heart.
Right. And then I think it was, I'm not sure which side, if it was male or female, which would be which side of the breast it was on. So if you had something, again, not all cancers, but if something that specifically triggered breast cancer, it really resonated with me because my grandmother lost my aunt to cancer. It was a different form of cancer, but then she got breast cancer a few years later. And then my aunt, on another side of my family, she lost her spouse. Well, she got breast cancer a few years later. So what his research actually correlated even personally in my life. And I was like, oh, wow. You know, I get chill bumps thinking about it.
All that heart chakra stuff is like crazy accurate. Like if that heart chakra is damaged, like you're kind of on a downhill slope. And oftentimes it can be damaged even from like childhood. It doesn't even have to be like the divorce or whatever happened in adulthood is like just what kind of pushes it over the edge. Yeah, because it's lymph nodes, heart, lungs, breast, like all this. Now, I stopped wearing deodorant years ago. Like, just, I don't even wear the natural. I'm just like, if you don't like me, don't get that close. Like, because, and like, psychically, I got to stop wearing deodorant. Like, out of the blue, no one, I didn't, and like, I was still in the holistic world. Right. Like, I was seeing, like, holistic people, but like, I just, like, heard from God, stop wearing deodorant, and I did.
Yeah, that's not going to happen for me. I would deter everybody. And plus, especially at that time when I started learning about it, I would have to take x-rays of people. And these were not digital x-rays either. These were like the old fashioned ones. So I came from that era. And I would have to be like so close to a person to like make sure their head was in the right place for their x-ray. And so I had to go through a lot of different deodorants to try to figure out which ones. And then even now, you know, your body can adapt to it. So then you have to like move on to the next one. So yeah, I would not be able to even stand the smell of myself
like,
if that happens.
Essential oils, like I just would drown I went through I had like one summer that was kind of rough, but after that I was okay.
Okay.
Like,
yeah. Well, sometimes
doable.
if I drink green tea or coffee, like I would notice a difference because your body's like sweating and detoxing more. So yeah, and I've done a lot of those foot detoxes. I don't know if people have, you know, if you've done a lot of those.
Oh yeah, I've done those, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it's really wild. I've done so many of those, and it was interesting that, you know, it always came out kind of the same. You know, I had a lot of lymph at first, and then after that, which they do that at Terramar as well. But there was this one time that I had eaten fish, and of course the tilapia, which is not good, but I had eaten tilapia all weekend. And then that Monday I came in and then I did my foot detox, and I had all these black flecks in my water. It kind of turned me off from eating fish after that. It did. I mean, you know, I still eat fish now, but it's not as, you know, I definitely don't eat tilapia anymore.
Tell us why about tilapia.
I thought it was because it was a fake fish. Right?
Is it a fake fish?
I mean, it's all farm raised as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was genetically modified or...
Anything that we're getting, I think, at restaurants probably is fake.
Oh, God.
I think that the other side, like... wealthy people, they eat like different food. Because I had some recently and I was like, look, that's some Illuminati fish. Because I could tell that it wasn't what I get at like my restaurants I go to, that I think I'm eating pretty healthy, right? Yeah. And I'll be like, yeah, I don't know what that was, but that's not what normal people get. That's not what the working class folk get. That's all I'm saying.
You just never know what you're going to get, what you're getting unless you grow it or you catch it yourself.
It was really good, but I'm telling you, there's a rabbit hole there.
Yeah.
I was like, I found a rabbit hole.
Okay. I'm sure. Yeah. I do the sockeye salmon. That's usually
that's what you do.
Yeah. Usually the extent of mine. And you have to flip the package over and see if it's been filtered and packaged in China. Right. Yeah. So that's the whole thing is like, oh, it can say, oh yeah, ocean caught, blah, blah, blah. But then you have to know where it's been processed.
And like, what does that really even mean? Ocean caught, you know? I know. And then I've been all the food rabbit holes, like all the food rabbit holes. And that's because food is medicine. Right. I mean, absolutely. And it's just vibrationally, you just have to see what your body needs that day. Really.
And you talk about vibrational stuff too. I remember this, you know, of course I was into, you know, I was really into just, you know, trying to eat healthy. But then one day I stopped at fast food and then I felt terrible. And like, I felt terrible, like I think on an energetic level. And I was just thinking, gosh, what did that, of course I had chicken tenders, right? And French fries. And I was like, this has such, like I felt like it had low vibrational frequency.
I'm
like,
sure it did. Yeah,
it was probably not good for me at all. Yeah. Not just from a calorie perspective, but obviously what that animal went through, what that potato, went through.
things. Oh, girl, I know. I can go down that hole with you.
I know my kids would roll their eyes at me. We'd talk about the microwave and how we don't need to microwave food.
I know. That's a thing too in my house. I'm always like, don't microwave.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, we can put it in the oven. Just if you can just wait a few more minutes and plan ahead.
Right.
Like, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, yes, but it's even the little things. If your lifestyle cannot adapt to the big things, it's like do little things and then it'll turn into a big thing.
I think that's kind of where I've always been, because I actually had a natural health business. It's funny because I went to the Southeastern Women's Herbal Conference before I did all of this, and I stopped at this herb shop, and I was gonna buy like some toothpaste and some deodorant, right? And then I got back and realized it had all these chemicals in it still, and I was like, I just wasted my money. I could have just bought the other stuff, right?
Exactly.
And so that propelled me on a journey to learn about Environmental Working Group. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that is a great website for you guys listening out there. Environmental Working Group is basically a watchdog. They were one of the big components that actually just had that push to ban that red dye number 3.
Yeah.
And so they were a big component of that. So you can go onto their website and you can look up a product that you're using, ingredient, and it will tell you what is good or not good about that product and what it's linked to, as far as like, if it's linked to cancer or neurotoxicity, or if it's linked to hormonal disruption.
Right.
And it's called EWG.org. But that has also led me on a journey. I was like, gosh, what am I putting on my body? What's
on your body? For sure. That's a big deal.
But then it's like, okay, I can only control so much. I can't control what's outside, right? I can't control, when I go to work, and the things that they might clean with, but I can control what's in my own home. So I really just tried to focus in on that. Like, okay, I can't be like, it would drive me crazy, or I would get paranoid, or it wouldn't be healthy for me to try to worry about the entire everything. Right. So I just try to really focus on what can I control.
Right.
And, I can control myself not using the microwave. Now, if I go out to eat, I don't know if they've used the microwave or not.
Right.
But if I'm at home, I can at least control that. I can control what I'm cleaning with, what I'm, washing my dishes with, just all the little things that I feel like add up at some point.
You can. And it's just the little things every day that you can just buy the organic. I always tell people, buy the organic.
And so Environmental Working Group also puts out a Dirty Dozen and a Green 15. So if you're trying to budget wise, trying to figure out, okay, well, what should I buy organic? Typically it's berries and things like that. Celery is usually on that list, lettuce, cucumber, but you can check, they come out with it every year.
Yes.
And you can look at their, the green, I think it's the Green 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So then you can see what are the dirtiest of all of the vegetables and fruits that you would want to stay away from if you're not going to buy organic. So,
right. No,
so
and out of everything, they can come to you and you can tell them what supplement they need to take. And what food they can stay away from.
If they do the analysis, obviously when people come up and they're like, hey, I've got this going on, what do I need to take for that? And I'm like, I have no idea, because I don't know what's causing that. So you have to always go back to what is causing that in the first place.
Right.
I recently had a client that she drove like an hour and a half just to come see me, because she was a previous client from Bremen Health Clinic. And, she's got, some hormones that she wants to make sure her hormones stay in balance. Well, what we really focus on is the endocrine system, right? So your thyroid, your adrenal glands, your stress levels, all of that. And of course, she struggled with exercising. And I'm like, all of that plays a part in how well your hormones are balanced. No supplement is going to replace, on the end of balancing your hormones if you're not taking care of kind of the basics to help your body function better. So we kind of focus on that part. We got to focus on, supporting her, that particular client, their thyroid, and making sure they get better sleep, and, and improving their stress level. I saw a lot of clients too at the Bremen Health Clinic where, they would have cancer and they would have some emotional component. Well, it's almost like you put they would recommend IV therapy, but if you're, giving a client IV therapy or giving them supplements, but if they're not taking care of that emotional stress that keeps draining and burning their minerals, what happens is you're pouring in, all the good stuff, but their body just keeps excreting it out.
So
it's
what
almost
would be
like
an example of that?
An emotional concern, maybe I think that from the majority of the people that I saw, it's usually just what you have to do is acknowledge that you've had a concern. Maybe, sometimes it's a divorce. Sometimes it's working with a practitioner to really find out what it is.
Grief or divorce or a crisis.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a divorce. It could be, it could be just a move. It could be something, moving and switching jobs. It could be it's a variety of different things. It could be a spat that you had with a family member a long time ago, and then every time you get around that family member, it's a trigger for you. And so every time it's a trigger, it's burning through. It's causing you to burn through those minerals faster. And what's interesting, from what I learned working there is, when you have a mineral deficiency, it's like your body never catches up. So then you start to suffer with stress and depression and anxiety because you're mineral deficient. Well, then you're having anxiety and depression, so it's causing you to burn through your minerals faster. And so then it's like you never catch up. So even if you're taking supplements, it's like you never catch up because you're continuously depleting those. So that's where the IV therapy I saw was a dramatic
I think it's cool.
difference.
I've been reading about IV therapies.
Yeah, so they would do Myers cocktail is one, probably the most famous one that a lot of places offer, and it's just a combination of vitamin C and magnesium and potassium and just the basic things that your body needs to help it function better. So there's lots of different.
And like cortisol levels go down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When your minerals, specifically magnesium, has over like 300 different functions in your body. And so magnesium, when you're magnesium deficient, specifically, your muscles can be in a constant state of contraction, and which can contribute to high blood pressure. It can contribute to pain. It can contribute to headaches. I mean, obviously it has a whole host of things, but when you have enough magnesium in your body, you'll obviously have your muscles become more relaxed states. So sometimes your blood pressure can go down, stress levels obviously can go down. You can kind of handle things, with a more sound or more balanced attitude, just because your body has the basic elements to be able to function better. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes complete sense. Now, this is why I always say, I'm always telling people, don't just go to the grocery store and guess. And they go to the vitamin aisle and they get through, they'll be like, well, I just saw this on social media. I think I need it.
Yeah.
And then they're buying just
a slew of whatever.
And then they come to me sick.
Yeah.
Or something. Like, so what are your thoughts on like grocery store supplements?
I would not recommend any kind of like grocery store supplement unless, especially Walmart, Costco, some of those bigger chains. You really want to know where that supplement is coming from and what practices they have. And that's really why I've been approached so many times over the years to sell supplements, sell like Amway products, which I don't want to call them out, but here we are. Just different supplement companies. And I was like, I can't do that because, I know that one supplement is not meant for everybody. Everybody's needs are different.
Yes.
If you're going with a multivitamin, again, if it's been third-party tested, if it's got organic ingredients, you really want to try to do liquids as much as possible because liquids, your body can absorb better rather than a tablet or a capsule. I sell doTERRA products and I do a lot of, I actually put the essential oils within a vegetable capsule to take, and they sell some of those again for my specific needs. That's sometimes
I love
what
doTERRA.
I do.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
So I do essential oils as well. Supplements are always not the answer though. I always try to look at like supplements are great but they cannot replace, being out in the sun, right? I mean,
Right.
yes, you need to take your vitamin D in the wintertime. You could look that up on a, go down that rabbit hole, because in our area, of course, in Georgia, you cannot get your vitamin D in the wintertime. So you definitely want to do vitamin D and vitamin D with a K2, because that helps put calcium back into your bones. So that's one. Probiotics is kind of a basic thing. And again, you just want to make sure that it's got the number of strains and things like that. And like I said, just a basic multivitamin, unless you're kind of an autoimmune situation. Autoimmune is a whole different thing. So for any listeners out there, if you're taking a product that it's got lots of different ingredients, I would tell you that that's probably not ideal, because autoimmune, from what I've seen, tend to be more reactive with herbs and things that have lots of different combination of things. So sometimes it's better for them to, again, try to get, more focused analysis on exactly what their body needs for certain situations. And that could be a whole show in itself, but
Exactly.
Yeah. But vitamin D, probiotics, multivitamin, those are kind of some of the basics. And then, obviously from that point, if they decide that they want to do something more aggressive or want more information, of course, they can reach out to me, or I've got some other technicians that I can recommend.
Yeah. So how do we reach out to you?
I've got of course, you can reach me anytime on my cell phone, 678-899-7214. And I'm all on social media from real estate. So I'm West Georgia Real Estate on Facebook and Instagram. And then I have my business is called Natural Wellness Innovations. So you can look me up on Facebook. Don't necessarily have a website just yet, but I'm within the Terramar Wellness Center. And so it's terramarwellness.com. And that's where you can actually schedule for red light therapy, or they have my information that you can reach out to me.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing our knowledge today.
Wow,
and
thank you.
If you forget how to reach out to her and you decide you want to reach out to her, you can always reach out to Harnessing Your Divine Feminine, and we will send you the information. So, and that's HYDF.online, or just Google Harnessing Your Divine Feminine, it comes up. Thank you so much for coming today and sharing all the information.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
And thank you for listening or watching. Give a woman an opportunity today. Thank you.
All right.
The Harnessing Your Divine Feminine show is produced by 8 Robinsons TV. Subscribe for only $30 per year for access to exclusive and archived content. Visit www.8ROBINSONS.tv. Thank you for watching.